Did running away work? Oh, I'm not trying to put you down, Lily. I'm just not sure running away is going to fix anything. Because no matter where you go, you're going to take yourself and all your problems with you.
How do I fix it then?
By growing strong and standing up to him. Knowing your purpose protects you. You're the author of your life. Don't let the challenges cripple you, for they're here to serve you. Oh.
Mentally, what happens to a child is, if a parent is telling them, you're unworthy, you are unwanted, you're stupid, that gets locked in, and that becomes the core belief for this child. Emotionally, the fear, the anger, the feelings of worthlessness, of being isolated, that also becomes part of the tapestry for the child. Physically, we have scars sometimes. There are people who have scars on their bodies, and they have to deal with the fact that that is going to be a daily reminder of what happened.
You did mention fear. I wonder how fear specifically manifests itself, you know, for these individuals who had suffered some of these traumatic events, in terms of how can that affect their life, you know, or in what ways?
Well, on a biological, physical level, people who are constantly in fear, especially as children, and some studies have even been done of children in utero, the cortisol level is very high. And they've shown that these newborns who were born to women in domestic violence, for example, these are children who later on have some learning disabilities. These are children who also have emotional issues, because the cortisol level starts to impact the brain. Same thing with children. The cortisol level will start to change the brain chemistry. There's been some studies that show that children who've been exposed to some kind of trauma or child abuse, the hippocampus gets impacted. Like, there's literally physical changes to it. So if that were to be true, if that is true, then that means that the brain has had some kind of physical change that will forever be part of this person's life. And that's just on the physical level. You know, on the mental, emotional, fear is a way of feeding into the idea that the world is unsafe, right? So depending on the person, you know, some people think of safety as something that they need. So this person will bury themselves in wanting to seek security and comfort, even if it means being in a bad relationship, right? Because if I'm in a bad relationship, it doesn't matter. At least I know how it's going to work. I know his or her vicious cycles. I can anticipate, and I will deal with it. But at least I'm comfortable. I'm secure. Then we have other people on the other end who they don't want that safety and security because they never got it. On an emotional level, fear leads to distrust. So given that the world is always a mirror of my own process, if I can't trust the world, then more than likely I'm not trusting myself, right? And if I'm not trusting myself, then how do I trust, you know, God, universe, spirit? So that's another part of the cycle.
That's huge. I can attest to that. Now, I found myself in that first group of people that for many years, what I really searched for in my life was that safety and comfort at all cost.
Yes.
Meaning personal fulfillment, doing meaningful work, all that took a second place to me feeling safe and comfortable, you know, and then, you know, obviously it doesn't work. It only works to a certain point, and then you reach that point And then you basically say, well, there it is. You've accomplished this, and how's that working out for you? Well, terribly. You know, I got to change everything. And so the true healing, I think, then started for me personally. And another interesting is that how it always goes back to, you know, that feeling of safety and security, and how those then, how when you strive to do that, how that impacts your life in immeasurable ways, in the careers that you choose, in partners that you choose. I mean, I feel like it's all of it.
It truly, truly does. And then this child grows up, you know, he partners with someone, and then they have a child.
Yeah.
You know, then that's where I think a lot of the decision making comes in. Do I continue or do I pause, take care of myself? Yeah. And I always find it interesting because for a lot of people, when they come and see me, themselves is not enough to heal. But when you put the child there, it's enough for them.
Okay. Maybe this was only my personal experience, but maybe other people will relate to what I'm about to say. And that is, I was profoundly afraid of darkness. And that carried with me way into my 20s and my early 30s, meaning couldn't sleep with the light off, you know, and having very kind of profound dreams. And, you know, every other night I would even characterize the dream as a nightmare. I don't look at them that way anymore, because I feel like I'm working with the subconscious as opposed to viewing it as something to get me, you know. And so
yes.
What do you think that is? Is that common?
I have a tendency to think of everything for our highest good. And even when someone comes in here with nightmares or I'm afraid of the dark or whatever it is, I see it as the body, the brain, the heart's way of trying to heal this person. So what I try to do is whatever the negative behavior is presenting, it's like, let's try to see how come this is here. Because I very much doubt, and this is often when I tell my clients, I very much doubt this has showed up to hurt you. It's probably showing up to heal you.
Wow, I never thought about it that way.
Yeah, it's showing up to heal you. Like I said, I tend to think of things very differently. Yeah. And part of it is because these children have taught me so much, right? Because if you're afraid of the dark, it makes sense that, you know, we can't trust the dark. We don't know where we're heading in the dark.
The unknown.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate representation of the unknown, which for anyone who had any kind of, abusive situation in their life, the unknown is because we don't know. Daddy's going to come home. Is he going to be?
We don't.
It's the unknown, and then this is what provokes then everything else.
The turning on of the light started, you know, as a way of helping yourself, a way of feeling better about something. You know, so part of the work that I do with people is, let's take all the coping skills you have developed, and let's shed some positive light on it, because you've made it this far with it. And through therapy, through coaching, whatever healing that one chooses to do, then I can pick and choose which of the coping skills I want to keep, and then which ones I want to release, right? And then I do it from a place of being loving with myself and forgiveness for those that caused the pain to begin with.